Namaste. Good afternoon. It's wonderful to be back again with all of you, and it's lovely to see you all at the Recover series presented by Apollo Hospitals. This is Dr. Srinidhi Chidambaram here. After infection with COVID-19, the recovery period is always a crucial one where the patient needs to pay a lot of attention to the right nutrition, sleep, relaxation, and also be aware of post-COVID complications and how to deal with them. The Recover series brings to you twice a week the most important and helpful information for those who have had COVID-19 so that they can recover and regain their health and well-being at the earliest. People who have gone through the suffering and stress of the COVID-19 infection often have many post-COVID complaints like fatigue or weakness or a loss of appetite, loss of energy, strength, loss of muscle mass or weight. So many symptoms which we sometimes even have it prolonged for a few months where it is called long COVID. And in all these situations, eating healthy is an essential thing that we need to do so that healing happens and recovery happens. Good nutrition will help you heal as fast as possible. And this is not for just those who have had the COVID-19 infection, but for even people who have seen the stress, the fear, the trauma, the grief, or even loss during the pandemic. Nutrition is a big part of recovery. And not only that, we also have the phenomenon of emotional eating and boredom related eating, which happens for those of us who are caught at home during lockdowns and or when there are loved ones suffering or when somebody has had COVID-19, faced that trauma and has come home and then faces all the problems of stress eating and cravings. And there's also this other aspect of people who have had comorbid conditions along with COVID. Now, they need to be even more careful. For example, the diabetics may need to monitor the sugars, and for that also nutrition is very important. And also taste and smell may not return for a long time, in which makes it difficult for people to eat healthy. So there are lots of aspects to nutrition itself, and there are many aspects to it, and they're all linked to not only the healing part, to health, but also to emotions, to mental health, feeling good, and of course, healing fast. To discuss this in detail and to guide us on what to eat so that we can feel good, we can feel satisfied, but also maintain health and well-being, we have with us today Dr. Kajal Pandya Yeptho, who's the Chief Dietitian of the Indraprastha Apollo Hospitals, New Delhi. Dr. Kajal has had experience of more than 25 years in teaching, researching, and practicing nutrition at various prestigious institutes, and she's currently Chief Dietitian of the Indraprastha Apollo Hospitals. She works with a robust team of dietitians. She's a certified IYCF counselor, diabetes educator, and master trainer with also a PG diploma in quality management of hospitals and healthcare outcomes, certification for FODMAP Diets Australia, Six Sigma Green Belt certification are also some of her other qualifications. She's had many research papers published in journals of cardiac care, infection control, and has had a chapter in a cancer textbook as well, and has been an external examiner for various colleges, and also a nutrition expert, columnist, and subject matter specialist for several magazines and TV channels. Dr. Kajal, it's lovely to have you here with us in our Recover series. So do tell us what best can one do regarding nutrition when they're recovering from COVID-19?
Thank you, Dr. Trinidhi. Thank you for this opportunity to tell everybody how important diet is, and especially post-COVID, how important it is, right? So I would like to start off from saying that once we suffer from COVID, and you're going home, there are so many questions which deals with us, kind of, for example, it would be so many apprehensions. First of all, you start thinking of saying that, how did I get COVID? From where did I get COVID? Did I eat something wrong because of which I got COVID? So first of all, you are so apprehensive of everything what is happening. Secondly, it happens that now once I'm going home out of the hospital care and I'm at home, or even those people who were even looking after themselves at home care also, right? They feel that now since I'm over with COVID, or rather I have tested negative, but now how is it that I'm going to get back my health, and how am I going to improve my lifestyle, my nutrition, eating, my daily dietary habits, etc. So the person is actually got up with so many questions and apprehensions in their mind. And frankly speaking, if I tell you that eating healthy had to prevail even before the COVID infection came around, kind of. So if we were aware of what is healthy nutrition, I'm sure we could have dealt with certain situations much better. But however, now since some of us have suffered from COVID, we definitely need to look into our diet, fall back a little bit and see what was going wrong in the diet and what better we can do currently post-COVID. There is no magic wand which would say that overnight you will recover your immunity back or your immunity will boost up. There is no such foods, there is no magic diet, there is nothing like that. If you really tell me, that will help you to recover the next day itself. It is going to be your better choices of dietary habits, better choices of your lifestyle, regularizing, disciplinizing yourself, and looking into it that what your body requires, what is the demands of the body, and that is most important, especially for those people who have comorbid conditions. They definitely need to look into it that their disease condition is controlled. For example, I would say diabetes needs to be controlled with the help of diet, medication, regular exercise, monitoring, etc. Similarly, there would be many other people who would be suffering from many other conditions. Some could be very critical also, and some could be normal, like I would say hypertension, or it could be even overweight, obesity. And these are all conditions which can be looked after very well. It could have been pre-COVID also and post-COVID also. So first is we need to find out what is the kind of diet he or she is taking. So if I take myself as one of the patient and I talk, I would say, okay, let me fall back and see what I was eating in my past so that I can bring a good change for my future. List down, write it down, and see what is wrong. Secondly, you need to give more stress on your day-to-day physical activities. I understand because of the lockdown, all of our activities have been restricted and we aren't able to do our regular exercises. But I'm sure there are many exercises which we can do in the house also. It could be sitting down, lying down, standing, etc. That also can be done. And further will be your a little bit of, I would say, is stress management also, because that also plays a very important role. Now, these are the three aspects of getting well faster, better, sooner, and to remain healthier for the future. Now, post-COVID, we know that there are many symptoms which people have undergone, and that is fatigue, lethargy, unable to eat well, unable to even sleep well, unable to do certain kind of exercises because they feel very tired. Yes, these are the symptoms of post-COVID, and these are the side effects. These kind of side effects are seen in most of our illnesses, but we know COVID has become such a condition, such a pandemic, that we all are very scared of it. If it is a normal illness, we don't get scared. We take a medicine, we eat well, we rest well, and we feel better. We even do our day-to-day activities regularly. But COVID has scared us a little bit more than any other disease condition. Henceforth, we have to take a special care and start realizing, as you said earlier, that even if you had COVID, even if you didn't have COVID, we all need to start realizing that yes, diet and nutrition plays an important role. We need to look after our health because that is the fuel what our body gets to work the entire day and to keep away from all kinds of infections or disease conditions, illnesses, etc. So now what does the diet comprise of? What does it comprise of? till you were in the hospital or till somebody was looking after you, they were feeding you everything, kind of whatever best they came to know about, right? Even in the hospital, we give you the most nutritious food, etc. But once you go home, you are in your environment, and still some may be in quarantine, some people may not be in quarantine, right? Now the focus has to be is on regular eating pattern. We start from there. That is regular eating pattern. You cannot remain hungry for hours together, because body, even if you are not working the whole day, body activities are still happening, does occur, and it needs fuel, and fuel comes mainly is from what you eat, basically. So regular eating pattern needs to be followed. Secondly, most important, nutrients. What are the most important nutrients, especially during the COVID time, is basically the protein content in the diet. Why the protein content in the diet? Because we know that during this particular illness, the body's metabolism is very, very high. And there is a point where there is a lot of protein depletion happening in the body. So proteins has to be there in the diet, and it could be from any sources. Even if you are a vegetarian, you have good sources of protein. If you are a non-vegetarian, you still have good sources of protein. So, or it could be a combination of both. So I would always say, in your meals, if we say 3 major meals and 3 minor meals in a day, so you're actually eating 6 times a day, the quantity of food will vary depending upon the person's type and the person's height, weight, condition, etc. But always protein should be focused, and protein should be your first item in your meal, which you will eat or you will look into it, right? Whether it is there or not. So proteins first at every meal is what I would like to tell everybody. We'll come down to the sources of protein a little later. Second is, we need to ensure that enough amount of calories are coming through, and that would be mainly from your carbohydrate sources as well as your fat sources. Carbohydrate sources is good quality carbohydrate sources, which we call it as grains. So examples would be, you can take is wheat. You can take is dalia is a good example. But suji is not a good example because it is low in fiber. That is why. So the more fiber we have, the more vitamins and minerals also we have in our diet, because it's bound to the fiber. So good quality carbohydrates can be included. Millets can be included. There is a lot of talk on millets. So in whichever way we can, traditional millets in whichever part of the country you are residing, pick up your local millet and try to include at least once in a day in any one of your meal, and in any form. You can make it into a very healthier, easily digestible form, not necessarily that you will not be able to digest it. If it is cooked in a healthier manner, you will definitely be able to digest it. So good quality carbohydrate, good quality fat. Fat is basically your oils, which is coming oils from the normal cooking oil, as well as the seeds, what we take, natural seeds. So use different oils for different recipes. Keep on changing your oils, but the quantity there has to be a limitation on that quantity, which is very important. And good quality nuts and seeds can be included. So we normally tell everybody that try to take a handful of nuts, which will be almonds. Around 8 to 10 almonds comes in your one fist. You can take that, and maybe 1 or 2 walnuts and a couple of pistas. These are the best quality nuts that will give you a good quality fat, which the body requires, which we call it as omegas. So the body requires. So good quality fat in moderate amount is very important. And then we say fruits and vegetables, very, very important. Most of us, especially when I take some dietary recalls, I don't get too much of recalls of fruits or salads happening in the diet. I literally have to prompt to say that, okay, do you take or not? They'll say, oh, yes, we do take. But they don't give you that recall. Why? Because we don't pay attention to it. We do not give importance to it. So fruits and vegetables is very important. At least 3 servings per day, a small 100-gram serving of fruits per day. Let it be seasonal local fruits, and vegetables, at least 4 servings. Out of 4 servings, 2 could be your cooked vegetables and 2 will be your salad servings. Now, when you take anything raw, fruits and vegetables give you the maximum amount of vitamins and minerals because they are still intact. When you cook them and you have lost some amount of it. So in the raw form, in the form of salad is very important. Wash them thoroughly, maintain hygiene while cutting them. That is the best. And we know in COVID times, it is these micronutrients which have become very, very important. All these fruits and vegetables will give you all these antioxidants, anti-inflammatory substances. It will give you antimicrobial effects, so many benefits of these nutrients. So try to include fruits and vegetables in your diet. So it actually becomes a wholesome, well-balanced meal where you will have your protein, your carbohydrate, your fat, as well as fruits and vegetables. So it's a well-balanced diet, having all the food groups, all the nutrients in your plate. This is what we advocate mainly. Over and above this is hydration. Body is 60 to 70% of water in our body, moisture basically, I would say, right? Body needs to get back all that moisture. And that water helps us to regulate our fluid balance as well as our electrolytes again. So we cannot fall prey to dehydration. And we know that dehydration could be fatal also. So enough amount of liquids, beverages, healthy beverages, and normal drinking water in the diet. This is all what we need to focus on, that each of your meals should have these much amount of stuff. Now, in that also, if you go into the details, mainly I will talk is only about two things, and that is your proteins. So proteins for a vegetarian person is milk and milk products, low fat, not to take full cream. Try to avoid unless and until you are very lean and you need a lot of energy, then yes, but otherwise it could be a low fat milk and milk products, and that could be paneer, it could be curd, it could be milk as such. Include it in any form in the diet, plus all your pulses, that is dals, and especially try to take more of chilke wali or with the covers on, so that you get more amount of fiber. Soya and soya products is another very good source of proteins for vegetarians. So these are our vegetarian source. So no vegetarian should feel that, oh, I am less healthy than a non-vegetarian person. So please continue eating good quality proteins, and the non-vegetarians have already have the benefit of a good quality protein, and that is mainly coming from your eggs. So you can include eggs in your diet. It could be chicken and fish also, but see to it that the preparations are not very oily, because it itself has got some amount of fat in it. So these are your protein sources. Please include for every meal 1 or 2 proteins in your meal at each time, and that will give you all the benefits. It will give you all the energy back. It will help all your functions to be much better. All the bone, all the muscle mass which you have lost will slowly and steadily gain back. But remember, it is not going to happen in 1 or 2 days. It has to be for a longer period of time. You have to continue having this kind of a diet for a long period of time, and then further for good sustenance. That is very important. And then is your fruits and vegetables. Include all kinds of colorful, natural, colorful fruits and vegetables. It has got all the antioxidants which the body requires. They work to, I would say, they work to kill all kinds of diseases, microbes, viruses, everything. So colorful fruits and vegetables to be included in the diet. And hydration, good hydration, normal drinking water is the best. So this is the kind of diet which we need to follow post COVID. There are a couple of elements or a couple of nutrients where you can focus a little bit more, and it was told to us beforehand also by our grandmothers and great grandmothers also, but again we never paid much heed to it. We thought, oh my god, they just kept on saying. But it was like, I would say, is haldi is very good. There have been a number of researches which happens, that is, it works as an anti-inflammatory. So include haldi. Though our cooking practices where we do use haldi in our cooking, but if you can still take it in the raw form, best is if you can take it even as a salad form, which is in a raw haldi, nothing like that. Otherwise, you can take it in your milk also. So haldi, Tulsi. Again, Tulsi is something very good. All our households will definitely have Tulsi in our garden. So maybe a couple of leaves every day can be taken. And there are local spices which we normally use in our day-to-day life also. You can continue adding that in your diet. And when you add a spice, say thankful to that spice because they are definitely be a benefit. We don't say thankful to that spice because we actually didn't know the benefit of it, kind of. We just took it for a taste purpose that, oh yes, if you add spices, it's more tastier. But it is tastier, definitely, but it is also having a lot of health benefits also. So this is how a post-COVID diet, normal diet, can be taken. People who have comorbid conditions like diabetes, please see to it that sugars are in control. They already know what kind of a diet to be followed because if they had diabetes earlier, but now is the time when they really need to take control of their diet. They need to get control of their sugar levels because it may deteriorate further also. So they need to understand the importance of uh, having a control over it. Similarly, would be people who have put on a lot of weight or had a lot of weight, work it out slowly and steadily. Try to come down to your normal ideal body weight. That will help you to remain much more healthier. And other people who have had comorbid conditions or who are immunocompromised, they need to be very careful. Seek advice, professional advice from their doctor, from their dietitian, and follow it accordingly. And just do not follow or hear what they read or what the next door neighbor says or somebody who has already suffered from that particular condition. Try not to do that because everybody's body is different, will react in a different manner. The requirements are different. So professional guidance is very, very important, needs to be taken. Right? So this is what I would like to say, whereas a COVID diet, a post-COVID diet has an importance in our day-to-day life. Along with that, good physical activity as much as you can do so that you digest your food, you feel hungry, and you are able to eat your next meal. Because if you don't exercise, if you don't move around, you will not be able to eat your next meal because there will always be a feeling of fullness and you compromise on your nutrition intake. So remain active as much as you can, and slowly and steadily you can increase your physical level activity levels. And thirdly is meditate, do yoga, because mental health is also very important. We even talk about gut and brain axis, because if it's like what you eat affects your brain and what your brain thinks affects your gut, kind of. So eat well and your thought process good, no stress, do de-stressing activities. All that will help overall for the best post-COVID management. And I think I've covered up everything. Anything more if you would like to ask?
I think you've given us a complete diet plan. Thank you for that. Is there any role for, protein powders? Because a lot of people, I hear that, during the post-COVID phase, because they want to recover quickly and add protein, they've been having protein powders. What is the role of those, and what are the precautions?
Okay. Yes, true. Protein powders, we call it as nutritional supplements, and they are scientific nutrition supplements. Okay, they do play a role, but that would come only into existence only when the person is not able to take orally. If we are not able to meet the demands orally, and the requirements of the patient is very high, or the person is very high, and we are not able to give it through the diet, there is some kind of a hindrance in the nutrition giving in for that particular patient, then only we try to add up to supplements. Otherwise, best is to take it from your natural food, unless and until there is any kind of a problem on eating them,
There's also, you did touch upon people wanting to lose weight because they have probably had COVID, and then, they might be quite conscious of their weight, might have put on some weight, maybe have not exercised. So when they come back, they want to jump into a kind of a crash plan, like, either go into a complete carb-less diet or some other kinds of diet, fasting. So what is your advice for these kind of people who want to jump into some kind of a quick fix solution when they come home?
Okay. I would say please do not jump into quick fix solution, because it is not a sustainable weight loss. You need to lose it a scientific way only. So let it happen slowly and steadily, which you will be able to maintain later on also. And you have put on some amount of weight due to COVID conditions, due to lockdowns, due to not doing. So it's okay. I'm sure there's always a guilt also in that, kind of that you could have done, but it's okay. What has happened has happened. But now let us let us do it in a scientific manner, not to do any crash diets. There are ways and means of losing weight scientifically, which will be sustainable and you will be able to follow lifelong also. So it's disciplinizing yourself, basically.
So what are you told us about the kind of food that one must take, but are there also certain types of food that one must avoid in the recovery phase?
Yes, I'm glad there was a lockdown till now. So too much of food was not available except for what people were ordering. But we have always, as dietitians and nutritionists, we have always advocated that try not to take too much of preserved foods. That is first thing I would say. And be COVID, be non-COVID situation, try to avoid preserved food as much as you can, because ultimately there are certain chemicals which are added to it, though they may be certified chemicals, but they are still chemicals which are added to it. So try to avoid all kinds of preserved foods from the market as much as you can. That is one thing which is not advisable in any of the conditions. Also, ready to eat foods, as much as you can make home cooked food, nothing like that. To try to take home cooked food. Try to avoid too much of fried foods, too much of sweets, basically I would say sugary foods which are having high amount of sugar and salt. Try to avoid all those. And that is, I would say, it's a general thing. It should not be just because of COVID situation. Otherwise also they are not healthy. They cannot replace our regular home-based food. This is what I would like to advise everybody. Once in a while, for whatever reasons you are doing it, that is, I would still say okay, because there could be a situation. But those are, I would say, those situations that an emergency. In an emergency, probably you may have to take, but otherwise, try to avoid all these kind of preserved foods, mainly preserved, canned, ready to eat, etc.
But what about this whole phenomenon of stress eating or emotional eating? Because with all the stress around us, whether we have COVID or not, or whether somebody in our family has COVID or not, the very fact that our routines have changed and we're seeing distressing news and we keep hearing has also prompted a lot of people to take comfort in eating. So how do we avoid that? Or what foods are healthy enough and also can be taken for a little bit of a warm, comforting feeling?
Okay, so I would not say it is only stress eating. We even do happy eating also. Okay, all our occasions are also filled with lots of food, kind of. So it's both the ways. When we are stressed out, we are depressed, we try to take solace in food. When we are happy, also, we try to take solace in food. Both the ways it happens. But currently, the situation is basically is happening is stress eating because of the pandemic. We all are stressed out. There is no person who would say, oh, I'm happy and let it happen, whatever happens, kind of. So yes, stress eating is harmful, is not right, should not be undertaken. But first is to find out the reason of stress. Again, there could be a reason and which we cannot eliminate that reason of stress. See to it that whatever we eat because of the stress eating is more healthier, because end of the day, you need to satisfy yourself, you need to calm down, you need to give solace to your own self. And if that is happening by eating something, I think that's okay. But only thing is what you eat at that particular time, at that particular instance is very important. So if we switch over to healthy habits of eating, and it could be a fruit, it could be a salad, or it could be just a nimbu pani, or it could be a curd, or it could be just making a nice lassi for yourself and keep on sipping. These are healthy foods which may help us to keep away from those unwanted fatty foods or high sugary foods, which the body is anyways not going to use it up, and that will all go as a deposition, and over a period of time you may put on fat, basically. So stress eating is there, I understand. Secondly, if you if the person has got a good control over himself or herself, I'm sure there is no control, and that is why you're doing stress eating. But divert your mind that the moment you start, because of stress, you start thinking about food, you try to do some another activity. And that's what doctor says, try to divert your mind. Probably that will also take you away from the food, and that will not make you eat more, kind of. So that is also one thing. Secondly, involve in hobbies, so that whatever stress you have, probably that will be overcome. So good hobbies of reading, gardening, playing, listening to music, all this will also help us to de-stress ourselves. And once the stress factor is also going down, probably your eating pattern also will be modified.
Before we go to the questions which are coming to us on the feed, I just wanted to ask you about the other way. Like, sometimes people come home after COVID and say that they just don't have an appetite, and also they can't even smell or taste the food. So for some time they're like that. But at the same time, yes, they need to eat, but they say, I don't feel like eating anything. So what should such people do?
Yeah. So this is the time when you ask me that question about protein supplements, right? So
Yes.
this is the time when you can include and supplement their diet with these protein supplements. At least we are giving them an enough amount of nutrition through those supplements, because I know they don't have an appetite, they don't feel like eating. And these supplements are basically concentrated sources of nutrients. So even if it is a smaller helping, it will give you more amount of nutrition. So this, you can take help of these nutrition supplements at this particular time. And slowly and steadily, you taper off the nutrition supplements and try to add the natural food. So it would be a combination of both of it happening. And slowly and steadily, as the person recovers, gets back its taste, its smell, its appetite, then the nutrition supplements can be tapered off, and then you can give them the home cooked natural food. This is the time the role of nutrition will take place as supplements.
Thank you. So now I'll just read out the questions which are coming to us from our viewers. Request you to answer them. The first question is, can I have chicken and consume liquor post-COVID-19 infection?
You can have chicken, but you cannot consume liquor, please. Chicken can be eaten. It's a good source of protein, but please no alcohol. Even if they say that, okay, some amount is okay, but I would never advocate alcohol.
And even the chicken, I assume, should not be like deep fried, or
it should not be deep fried. It is a good source of protein. Let it be in the grilled form or a boiled form, and let it be as a part of your meal, not to just sit down and have these two accompaniments together. Let it be a part of your meal.
I'm suffering from hernia for operation. I think this person wants to know what should I eat for hernia.
There is no particular diet for hernia, but post-surgery, there could be a little limitation in his diet, a little restriction, no restriction of any much food, but it depends upon the type of surgery which is taking place, and then he can get back to his normal diet. No restrictions as such.
How useful is nutmeg in boosting the immunity? Can we consume it daily?
Nutmeg does not have a direct relationship for increasing the immunity, but yes, it helps in digestion. Definitely it helps in digestion. Most of our sweets, our Indian sweets, do have nutmeg in it, so you can take it maybe in your cold milk or in your milk when you take at night, can be taken, but it does not have a direct importance if you see, whereas immunity, to boost your immunity, but yes, it helps with your digestion process, definitely.
Can I take fizzy drinks post recovering from COVID-19 infection?
Better not to. Try to take more of natural drinks like nimbu pani, ruafza water, chaach, lassi. These are all, it could be even fresh vegetable juices, fresh fruit juices, all that is much better. Fizzy drinks is nothing but empty calories coming from there. So why to?
My friend has survived from the COVID-19 infection. Is it advisable to increase the intake of the calories? But of course, we don't know if the person's weight or any.
Yes. So it all depends upon the individual to individual. And if his requirements are high, definitely he needs to take enough amount of calories if his requirements are high.
I think the solution in this case would be also to contact
to refer to an expert so that they can get
evaluation and get the right diet.
Yes, they can get the right guidance.
I have recovered from COVID, but I don't have any sense of smell. What can I consume?
He's lucky that he doesn't have any sense of smell. He can eat everything, kind of, right? But it's just a temporary effect. It will definitely go away. And try to eat your natural food, and you don't need to smell the food. I don't think so we smell our food on day-to-day basis before we eat, right? So he can carry on with whatever he's eating and what home cooked food is there, so he can carry on. There is no restriction if you don't have a smell coming in, but it's a very momentarily effect, and I'm sure it will go away.
Can I take a boiled egg daily? If so, how long? I'm 62 and I have become diabetic after COVID.
Even if you're a diabetic, even if you're 62, you can take a boiled egg every day. Please take one. No harm in taking one boiled egg every day. But preferably keep it as a boiled only, not to make it into a nice omelette and adding a lot of oil to it. So it could be a poached, it could be a scrambled without any kind of oil, and you can take one egg. No harm.
Kindly suggest a diet plan for a thyroid patient post-COVID.
There is no particular thyroid diet post-COVID. Only thing is, yes, the patient's thyroid levels should remain normal. Get a test done so that the doctor knows how much medication to be given. And secondly, if the weight is too much, the person needs to start working out on the weight and remain physically active, because ultimately it is the hormones which play a role mainly. So physical activity and a diet. If the weight is too much, then it has to be a low calorie, low fat diet, but not to restrict any particular item unless and until his thyroid levels don't remain under control, because he or she will be already under a medication of thyroid.
For a diabetic patient post-COVID, what are the best dry fruits to eat?
Almonds, walnut, and pistas. These are the only three, and they should not be fried or having any kind of masala or anything like that. Take it in the natural form.
And definitely not the dry fruits, I think, which they probably mean the figs.
Oh, the desiccated dry fruits? No.
Apricots and
no, not the desiccated ones. Not the desiccated ones.
I think with this, we've come to the end of our questions as well. So thank you so much, Dr. Kajal Pandya, for this wonderful discussion, which was almost like giving them a complete diet plan, which everybody who's recovering from COVID can follow. Thank you so much. And viewers, thank you for listening in and responding with so many queries. I do hope that you enjoyed this session, and we will have our next session on the 9th of July, which is the coming Friday. We're going to talk about post-COVID recovery with a very focused episode on elder care. So this is going to be presented by Dr. Jayant Mani Shrikant, and this will be from Apollo Hospitals, Hyderabad. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, because we have a lot of interesting information there. And if you need anything further, any clarifications, please contact us on our Facebook page or send us a message on Facebook Messenger. And till we meet again, I hope that you will all remain safe and remain cautious. Though lockdowns might have been lifted and shops and malls have opened, I do request you all to be safe. And don't forget that the COVID-19 precautions do have to be followed by everyone, everywhere, every time, and for the sake of your health and the health of your loved ones. Stay safe. Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste.